I'm Melissa Budzinski, and I'm with Gilda's Club, Grand Rapids. We are a free cancer and grief support community. If you are new to this Facebook event or to Gilda's Club and are on a cancer or grief journey, or you're supporting someone on a cancer journey and you'd like to get connected with our community, please give us a call at 453-8300 or look us up on the website, gildasclubgr.org. We would love to talk with you and get you connected. So glad that all of you could meet with us here on this virtual platform and stay safe at the same time. We hope that all of your families are well and social distancing and finding yourself connected, even in this, what feels like sometimes a disconnected world. We have with us today, or I have with us today, Eric Zuniga. He comes to us from, he's on the executive board committee for the Pride Center right here in Grand Rapids. He also is the chair for this coming year's Pride Day event. I think I didn't say that right, Eric. How do you say Pride Day?
Oh, it's just the Grand Rapids Pride Festival.
There, Grand Rapids Pride Festival, thank you. And so he's the chairperson for that. And the slated date for that right now is June 19th. And we're all keeping our fingers crossed that that can still happen. And we're in a place in June where things will be a little more easy to manage in a social way. But most importantly, Eric is my nephew, and I'm so excited that you can be with us, Eric. Thanks for being
here.
So
happy to be here.
Yeah, it's really good to have you. And Eric is just a really conscientious, wonderfully intelligent, loving human being. And I'm just really glad that you are willing to read a book for us and connect with our members. Our younger members, but really this book, I think, could also speak to adult experience, don't you think?
I think so. When I was reading through the book, I just kind of had flashes of people in my life that I care about that might have been questioning certain things about themselves or people around them. So I think the book has a great message.
Great. Well, thank you for spending time with us and reading for us.
Absolutely.
So we have this book. It's called The Day You Begin. And Eric's going to read that, and I am going to go off screen here and start sharing my screen. So if everyone will give us a little grace here while we get this happening. Let's see. All right, and now I have to start the slideshow. All right. And then I'll mute myself, Eric, and you can take it away.
All right. This is The Day You Began by Jaqueline Woodson, illustrated by Rafael López. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you. Maybe it will be your skin, your clothes, or the curls in your hair. There will be time when no one understands. Oop, I think we got to move this. Sorry about that. There will be times when no one understands the way words curl from your mouth, the beautiful language of the country you left behind. My name is Rigoberto. We just moved here from Venezuela. And because they don't understand, the classroom will fill with laughter until the teacher quiets everyone. Rigoberto from Venezuela. Your teacher says so soft and beautifully that your name and homeland sound like flowers blooming, the first bright notes of a song. There will be times when the words don't come. Your own word, your own voice, once huge, now smaller. When the teacher asks, "What did you do last summer?" Tell the class your story. "We went to France," Shayla says. "These shells came from a beach in Maine." A boy named Jonathan holds out a jar filled with tiny shells, so fragile. They look like they'll just turn into dust in your own untraveled hands. "My whole family went to India, Spain, South Carolina." Each souvenir a small triumph of a journey. Their travels going on and on. And as you stand in front of that room, you can only remember how the heat waved as it lifted off the curb, and your days spent at home, cared for your little sister, who made you laugh out loud and hugged you hard at nap time. You can only remember the books you kept on reading long after she had fallen asleep. And in that room, where no one else is quite like you, you'll look down at your own empty hands and wonder, what good is this when other students were flying and sailing and going somewhere? There will be times when the lunch your mother packed for you is too strange or too unfamiliar for others to love as you do. When even your own friend Nadia will wrinkle her nose and say, "What's in there anyway?" And you'll wonder how she doesn't see the rice beneath the meat and the kimchi. You'll wonder why she doesn't remember that rice is the most popular food in the world. There will be times when the climbing bars are too high, the run is too fast and far, the game isn't one you can ever really play. "I don't want him on our team. You can watch. Maybe you can have a turn later." There will be times when the world feels like a place you're standing all the way outside of. And all that stands beside you is your own brave self, steady as steel and ready, even though you don't know what you're ready for. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you until the day you begin to share your stories. "My name is Angelina, and I spent my whole summer with my sister," you tell the class, your voice stronger than it was a minute ago, reading books and telling stories. And even though we were right on our block, it was like we got to go everywhere.
It's hard to read those words, is
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Okay. I have the book, so I'll read it real quick.
Okay.
Your name is like my sister's. Roberto, say that name again.
Rigoberto?
Rigoberto says, her name is Angelina, too. And all at once, in the room where no one else is quite like you, the world opens itself up a little wider to make some space for you.
This is the day you begin to find the places inside your laughter and your lunches, your books, your travel, and your stories, where every new friend has something a little like you and something else so fabulously not quite like you at all.
Always takes a little long to get back. Thank you for your patience. Oh, that was such a great book. Thank you for reading that.
Yeah, I thought it was so cool. Like I said too, I've had lots of friends that have, not really expressed, you know, themselves, their nationality, how they were brought up, because, you saw in the book how sometimes other people can get uncomfortable from it, but it's those opportunities to be able to teach somebody about yourself, you know, each one teach one.
Oh, I like that. Each one teach one. And so it really just helps. It's this opportunity because it's a very vulnerable moment at that. I love that they illustrated that piece of decision making. Like she was thinking, do I share about what I did this summer? It doesn't sound as exciting as what other people did, but it is who I am. And so, and then when she started opening up, she started getting this response back from other people and feeling more connected. So
And I think it's important too for people to, feel comfortable enough to open up when they're ready. And it might not necessarily just be about your lunch or where you grew up. It might be about, how you express yourself or what you identify as.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And I think there's two parts to that, right? Is that there's our responsibility for sharing our own story and our own truth. And then the second part of that is other people being open to hearing it. And so we're on both sides of that story, right? Is that when somebody else wants to share with us, that we be in a place of listening and learning, and they can teach us about themselves. And then we'll be the teacher. So it goes both ways, right?
I agree. It's always important to be a listener. I had one time a friend, I was, having a sad day, and I had a friend remember something I had said about something special, and they reminded me of it in that moment, and it just turned my day upside down.
That's really great. Really validated um, your impact on the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's really what we're talking about. That's what this book is talking about, right? Is feeling seen, feeling heard, and feeling connected, and how important those things are in our life. Yeah.
Yeah, they're extremely important, and I think that once we learn to master those at whatever age, I think it's important to carry that throughout your life and to, teach another person maybe some ways that you are able to overcome those and to build long-lasting friendships that way.
Oh, absolutely. It reminds me too, is that this often is exactly what the kids in our groups at Gilda's Club talk about, is that when they're on a grief journey, or when someone in their life or themselves have a cancer diagnosis, that they feel very different, and they feel like nobody else understands or wants them just to get over what's going on with them. And or they might say to them, well, it's just your grandma, come on, when maybe that grandmother was more like a parent to them, or lived in their home, or babysat them every day, or they just had this deep relationship with them. It's never just, right? And that this opportunity to connect, like that great example of you and your friend, of just really hearing you and honoring your beauty and your impact in your specialness in the world, and how that really is, it's not magic, it's not something extraordinary, it's just literally listening and sharing with each other. Yeah, really cool. So we have some suggestions of things that you can do in light of this book, to maybe help share more of yourself, because we know it's not easy. We know that every time that you begin something, we talk of this often at Gilda's Club, is that it's not easy. It's always awkward. It's awkward to get a new teacher or go to a new school or have an experience and then come back to your social group or a realization about who you are or how you want to live out the rest of your life, right? And there's always a place of vulnerability or a place of scariness, awkwardness that comes with that. And so, first of all, it's just to honor that within yourself, is give yourself permission to feel awkward and to feel, and maybe it doesn't come out the way that you wish it to with some grace the first time, you know. I remember people speak of this often with me, is that when my father died and they would come to see me at the funeral home, I kept introducing people to my dad who was in the casket. And it just felt natural to me, you know, and some people found it a little strange and a little awkward. And I could see that, but it just felt so important to me to do it. And so I just honored that about myself. And I was like, this is going to be kind of weird, but let me introduce you to my dad. And they were people maybe that had never met my father or seen my father before. And so even if it might be awkward, to honor that's about yourself and to do those things, give yourself permission to be quiet too and shy. That's okay too, to not rush in and give 100% of yourself at the beginning. It's okay to withhold a little, build some trust. Trust is built, it's not just given. It's important to lay that groundwork. Wouldn't you agree, Eric?
Yes, and recently I had watched a movie with my husband, and it was the A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, the Mr. Rogers story.
Yeah.
And in the film, he asks the gentleman that's interviewing him to just take 2 minutes and think of all the people that have loved you into existence. And it was such a powerful moment that when I'm feeling low or if I feel less than, I just take those 2 minutes, and it's kind of like just recharging yourself. Yes. So it's important to love yourself, because it's hard to, give that to someone else if you can't master that yourself. And if you can't do it completely, right away, it's okay too. It's just, you got to start somewhere, and maybe that's the 2 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. It's such a great example. And one of the things you can do is that you can even just close your eyes and nobody even has to know that you're doing it. And you can just bring up those people in your thoughts and know that when you walk into that room, and maybe you're different than everybody else in the room, or you're feeling different, that you have all of those people who love you with you, right? They're with you as you walk in, and so you're not really alone. You can feel connected, even though you might feel awkward and new at something. So one of our suggestions too is to learn those stories of where we come from, and learn the stories of your grandmothers and your great-grandmothers, and those things that your family has collected, those experiences that they have collected, and really help create your life. And the love and the care and maybe the turmoil that they have come through that you carry with you, and helps bring your life for what you have now into existence. And so learn those stories. Ask your grandmother, ask your mother, ask your great aunt, your great uncle, your whoever that is in your family that holds those stories. And find out about them, that, the fun things that they did, the things they remember, maybe the travels they had or where they came from. My husband and I are specifically doing this right now with a great deal of intention, and just talking to my mother, who's 83, about the history of her family and how they came to the United States, and then talking to his father and his aunt about the history of his family and how they came from Poland, and what were those experiences, and what were those really trials and tribulations and jubilation and hopes and dreams that they brought with them, and how that has impacted or informed my life, and where I am today. And what that's done for me is give me a greater sense of honor and value in my experience and my family's experience. How about you, Eric?
Absolutely, as well. My grandparents were migrant workers. They were extremely poor. So they literally started from nothing and, you know, worked their way into, you know, buying their first home that they lived into for quite a while. But it gives you a different perspective on life, right? So when I would go to the farmer's market, it gives you that different perspective of, you know, this took a lot of hard work for me to just grab, you know, a tomato or, you know, a bushel of apples, because it goes back to, and you look at the people that are working that booth and think, wow, like this is really cool. This is a family business and they have this and they're starting something for their family. And you see the little kids there helping out. And, you know, that just brings me back to when I was a kid. But it does put a lot of different things into perspective, and you learn to appreciate things more.
Oh, I agree. Oh, that's beautiful. You really see the longevity of your grandparents' experience of coming here, but it also gives you this idea of your current culture, right? It informs your current culture of just going to the farmer's market, that it's not just going to the farmer's market and they appear there. There's a history that that tomato has gone through, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and people have touched it and people have nurtured it. And yeah, that's so cool. That's really great.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's also going back to what you were saying about, you know, asking, you know, your grandparents and your elders about, you know, stories, because, you know, along with the work comes stories. So then I could have a moment when I'm at the farmer's market or at the store with a friend and picking up that vegetable or that fruit and then sharing that story in that moment. So I think that's a cool way to put them both together.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's, yeah, very cool. And that's also that in our own choice of sexuality and with the LGBTQ plus. No, I missed one.
Yes.
I said it?
Yeah.
You know, finding the history of that, if you're in that or curious about or thinking about that community, find out the history of it in you know, America or in our town or in your community, whatever community you are, because there's a lot of history that comes with that. There's a lot of experiences that are coming through culturally in those circles that maybe you don't even know about yet. And there's new experiences all the time too, right?
Mhm.
Like adding this plus onto the end of that, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool too, because, you know, where I used to work, there was a lot of older clientele that would come in during the day, and I'd be doing something, or even when I got my glasses, you know, 7 years ago, um, they would say, you know, back, you know, when I was your age, and then I'd be like, oh, here we go. But it would be such a cool story that I'm like, do you have more? Like a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that I didn't know that happened in Grand Rapids. Um, the community, how it's changed and how it's growing and how it still needs a lot of work. And it all has to start from somewhere. And a lot of those people that told me those stories at one point told me they felt like they were the only person in the world that were gay, that were bi, that were trans, that were, you know, maybe just didn't know what their identity was. And they just felt so alone. And then reaching out and sharing their story with somebody, you know, said they've changed their life because then they found someone that was just like them
Yeah.
or different, you know, and that's great too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's very cool. Yeah. Again, back to that piece of sharing our story, right? Being the teacher and the listener at the same time. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, very cool. Well, other things that we are suggesting too is that maybe start a club, or that if there is a club at school, you could activate maybe doing something specific about the history of, you know, like the LGBTQ plus, um, you know, culture and being able to do some sort of activity or community participation in a safe way, of course, in the COVID worlds, but writing a timeline for here in Grand Rapids or something that honors you and honors your experience. And then Also, that teacher, listener again, is that it informs other people too, and it feels good. So maybe invites people who might feel outside of their community to be able to find a place where they feel more at home. Yeah. Some other things are that have a culture day at home or at school. You know, if you're not in school right now, maybe you guys could do it. And I think schools kind of do this on a regular basis, but I'm not sure they do it with LGBTQ plus culture, but they do it with other, you know, the Black History Month is next month. That is there a Hispanic month? I don't know this.
I'm not sure actually. I should look into that. Yeah, that's
or Latinx,
definitely,
I guess it would be considered. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Should definitely look into that.
Yeah.
But there's always a day as well too that's definitely recognized for things like that. And you know, if we can't do it in person, it's always fun to do it virtually. Set up a theme, costumes, food, exchange some family recipes.
That sounds great. I never think about costumes. That's a great idea. You know, and you could do that right in your own home. Like in our home, German, Polish, mostly Polish, but German, English, and Irish are all cultures that we come from. And so then to have foods maybe from each of those cultures and share those, like at Thanksgiving, we put pieces of our meal on our kids' front porches, and then they gave us part of their meal that they prepared. And so then we all got on Zoom and ate together, and that was a lot of fun. And so you could do something like that. Find out what the flag is, find out what some of the stories are for that, and share those with your family or friends, or ask your teacher if you could share them in your school, in your classroom. Could be kind of fun. So that's another thing you can do. And then the other thing really is to make a space in your house, in your room that's private, or maybe you guys want to do this as a shared, but that honors who you are and the things that are important to you, and create your own community within yourself, for yourself. So like I have some things collected here, a hawk feather and some rocks that I really like, and then my intention for the year. And I just make sure that I keep it in a prominent place. I have pictures of myself when I was younger, just to remind myself, again, what you said earlier, Eric, that connection, and where I want to go forward. So what, do you do anything like that, Eric?
Yeah, so we have in our home an entire wall of picture frames. I know a lot of people like to do, you know, the exact same picture frame on a big wall, and kind of it's like very neat. So what we did is, with our friendships and connections with people, they're all very extremely unique. So every single picture frame is different and unique. And the purpose of our wall is, you know, when you're starting your day and you're coming down the stairs, it's kind of taking their energy, love, and support with you. And at a glance, you know, you can see your smiling faces with each other. And then also when you're going to bed, and it's also going along with that, you know, 2 minutes of remembering all the love that you have. So that's just a visual for us to have in our home, to like see on our way to start and end our day.
Oh, that's really cool. I love it. It's like you're walking through love on the way to your day, and then at the end of your day.
Yeah, there's times too where, you know, when I recently just got a job and I was on my way down the stairs to have my first interview, and I was like, I don't know, I'm really nervous. And I looked over, and it's kind of the wall being like, you got this. You got this.
We got your back. We're coming with you.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. I love that. So then the last thing is to reach out to other people. Reach out to those students maybe in your classroom who are new, or maybe are feeling different, or, you know, in your community, and, you know, reach out and welcome them in. Be that ambassador of hope and love and welcoming, and talk with them and open yourself up to them, and invite them to talk to you. Do you have any other suggestions about that, Eric?
Yeah, when you're getting those personal, friendships built, getting the conversation started, if you or anyone feel like you need some extra support, there are groups that we are doing virtually at the Pride Center. So just visit grpride.org, and there's a whole section there for groups, and you can enter and chat with people, or you could listen and just figure out, who's like you, who's not like you, and what people's stories are. And we do have support groups on there as well. So if your parents, if your siblings, or we do have different age groups, and we do have teens and youth. So that's pretty cool too. And then if that's something that works for you, then you can share that with somebody new that maybe said to you that they don't feel like they have anyone that will maybe listen or talk to them.
Oh, that's really great. And we also have a partnership just starting, a virtual group that we will be running with the Pride Center, Gilda's Club will. That is, if you're on a cancer or grief journey and you're in the community of LGBTQ+, and you don't have to necessarily be through the Pride Center, but we're partnering with the Pride Center, so you could connect with both of us actually at the same time. But that we'll be holding that group, I think, starting in mid-January, it's my understanding. So if you're interested in that and getting connected, you can call us or you can let the Pride Center know, either one, and we'll help you get connected. And I'm assuming everything is free those groups are free at the Pride Center that you mentioned? Okay, excellent. Oh, I love that. So we really encourage people to stay connected. We understand and we honor that these times can be awkward. First time on Zoom can be awkward. First time in a group, it can be even more awkward when you're on Zoom. But we encourage everyone to just keep trying, to don't stay alone, don't isolate, stay connected while you're staying safe. But reach out. And if you have a hard time reaching out, then I challenge anyone who's listening to reach out to someone who maybe that isn't reaching out to other people. Write them a letter, give them a call, drop something on their doorstep, but reach out and connect with someone who you think maybe just might need it. They might just come to mind, and send them something in the mail. That's a lot of fun. So, yeah, I think that's all the suggestions I have. Any other thoughts, Mr. Eric?
I don't. I think we went through all of them that I had.
Okay, great. Well, we're so glad that all of you could join us here on this virtual platform in our virtual clubhouse. We're so grateful to you, Eric, for joining us. Thank you for all of your work at the Pride Center, such an important work. And with the Pride Festival, just so grateful for all of that beautiful coming together community and honoring each other here in Grand Rapids. It's just really cool. And I hope we do more and more and more and more. And if you, again, are new to Gilda's Club, or if you have questions specifically about or comments about this presentation, this book reading, please let us know. Just put them in the comments below. If you really enjoyed this and you want to share it, please share it on your Facebook or share it with particular people. We love that also. And if you want to just connect with us, our phone number is 453-8300. And our website is gildasclubgr.org, or you can leave a message for us here on Facebook. So from all of us at Gilda's Club and at the Pride Center, we hope that everyone is staying safe and social distancing, and we live in hope for when we have this COVID under hand, and that we can maybe after the snow too, go outside a little more. So
That would be fun.
yes. All right, everyone, take care and we'll see you soon.